This conference will now be recorded.
So in the previous class, we saw about beta oxidation of fatty acids. We have covered in the previous class about those fatty acids which are containing even number of carbon atoms, polyunsaturated fatty acids and monounsaturated fatty acids, as well as saturated fatty acids. So we will have a quick recap of how exactly things are working. In the case of saturated fatty acids, what kind of beta oxidation process is happening. So the beta oxidation of saturated fatty acids containing even number of carbon atoms is divided into 4 steps: oxidation, hydration, oxidation, and thiolysis or cleavage. And you can see over here that when you begin with a fatty acid acyl CoA, you end up with a new fatty acid acyl CoA which is less than 2 carbon atoms than the previous one, because the 2 carbon atoms have now been got involved into formation of the acetyl CoA, and this acetyl CoA is going to enter the TCA cycle. The new fatty acid acyl CoA, which is having 2 less carbon atoms, again undergoes the same process till the end. Only 2 carbon atoms are left, that is of acetyl CoA, which will also enter the TCA cycle. Now, when you have a fatty acid which is having odd number of carbon atoms, like say for example 5, 7, 11, 9, like this, that time also the same procedure is followed. That is, at every step the number of carbon atoms decrease by 2. Say for example, over here you have a fatty acid acyl CoA which has 9 carbon atoms in it. So it will undergo this sequential reaction of beta oxidation to undergo first oxidation followed by hydration, then oxidation, and then thiolysis. And it will give you a new fatty acid acyl CoA which is having 2 less carbon atoms, means it will have 5 carbon atoms, because the 2 carbon atoms have now gone over here in the formation of acetyl CoA, which is going to enter the TCA cycle. Okay, and now this fatty acid acyl CoA, which is having 5 number of carbon atoms, will then again undergo the same procedure of beta oxidation, namely oxidation, hydration, oxidation again, and thiolysis or cleavage to release again one more molecule of acetyl CoA containing 2 carbon atoms. And what will be now left behind with you is a 3 carbon containing fatty acid acyl CoA. Okay, so that 3 carbon containing fatty acid acyl CoA is a propionyl CoA. Okay, methane, ethane, propane. When you have 3 carbon atoms, it becomes a propane. So it is now containing a 3 carbon atom, and it is called as propionyl CoA, fatty acid acyl CoA, propionyl CoA. Okay, now this propionyl CoA, now you cannot have another 2 carbon atoms to lose, because then you will not have anything later to metabolize. Okay, so what happens is this propionyl CoA separately undergoes a reaction, and in this reaction at the end what is formed is succinyl CoA. So how is this succinyl CoA formed? This succinyl CoA is formed by the action of the propionyl CoA carboxylase enzyme, you can see over here, which with the help of a coenzyme biotin, that is which is a vitamin, it will carboxylate propionyl CoA to form the stereoisomer of methyl malonyl CoA. So you can see over here methyl malonyl CoA, the D stereoisomer of methyl malonyl CoA. Now this um, D-methyl malonyl CoA or methyl malonyl CoA epimerase, this will then undergo an intramolecular rearrangement and get converted from a dimethyl malonyl CoA to an L-methyl malonyl CoA. And finally, this L-methyl malonyl CoA will then get converted with the help of methyl malonyl mutase enzyme to give succinyl CoA. Now this rearrangement from dimethyl malonyl to L-methyl malonyl is happening because this mutase enzyme or methyl malonyl CoA mutase enzyme can act only on the L-methyl isomerase of methyl malonyl CoA. It is not active on the D isomerase of methyl malonyl CoA. So that is why the internal rearrangement of carbon atoms happens and it forms a L-methyl malonyl CoA. And after this intramolecular rearrangement, methyl malonyl CoA mutase enzyme can act upon it and convert it to succinyl CoA. This succinyl CoA now can enter the Krebs cycle to give you energy. So like in the beta oxidation of saturated fatty acids containing even number of carbon atoms, you have in the end also you will get acetyl CoA which is going to enter the TCA cycle. In case there are odd number of carbon atoms present in the fatty acid, then till propionyl CoA is formed, you are going to get acetyl CoA which is going to enter the TCA cycle. Propionyl CoA directly cannot enter the TCA cycle, so it undergoes a separate series of reactions which is visible on the screen to you, and it forms succinyl CoA. This succinyl CoA can then enter the Krebs cycle and it can give you energy. Okay, so Krebs cycle, the main aim is to give you energy. So this is about the oxidation of or beta oxidation of fatty acids which are containing odd number of carbon atom, and to finish the reaction extra 3 steps or extra 3 reactions are going to happen so that you get a compound which can enter the Krebs cycle and give energy. The main purpose of carrying out this entire process of beta oxidation is to give energy to the body. Okay, then we have already seen other than beta oxidation there can be alpha oxidation as well as gamma oxidation also, and this is based on the type of fatty acid that is involved. Like in the case of green leafy vegetables, phytanic acid is the fatty acid which is involved, and this is going to undergo alpha oxidation. Whereas in the case of bacteria or microorganisms, gamma oxidation is seen. Okay, so this is all about the different ways in which fatty acid oxidation is going to happen. Beta oxidation of saturated fatty acids containing even carbon atom, containing odd carbon atom. Then you can have unsaturated carbon atom, means which has one double bond or more than one double bonds, where again an extra enzymatic step is added to break that double bond. In the end, the result is the formation of acetyl CoA and further the process of giving energy. Okay, so acetyl CoA is one molecule that you are getting from the beta oxidation or from the metabolism of fats. Okay, now other than acetone, fatty acids oxidation or fatty acids metabolism, other than acetyl CoA, it can also give what are called as ketone bodies. So there are 3 different types of ketone bodies which are involved, and these are acetone, acetoacetic acid, and beta hydroxybutyrate. So these are the 3 different types of ketone bodies that can be formed from the oxidation of fatty acids, and they also enter the TCA cycle, or in some form they are able to give you energy by entering the blood. So the formation of acetone in this process is very small, and it can get exhaled out. The excretion of acetone, when it is present in a very small quantity, it can happen just by exhalation. So the smell that so the smell that you have, when you get up early in the morning, or if you have slept, or you have closed your mouth for a very long time. So in all these cases, the smell that is there is because of acetone. You can make a note, all the diabetic patients, they always have a foul smelling mouth. The reason is ketone bodies are constantly formed in their body. Okay, and among the ketone bodies, what is there is acetone. So because of this acetone, they have a foul smelling mouth. Okay, now acetoacetate and beta hydroxybutyrate. You can see all the three structures on your screen: acetone, acetoacetate, and beta hydroxybutyrate. So this acetoacetate and beta hydroxybutyrate, they are transported by the blood into different tissues other than liver also. They are transported to other tissues in the body, where they can produce energy. Like they can go to skeletal muscles, they can go to heart muscles, and they can help the functioning of these muscles by producing energy. And this uh, can also happen in the case of brain also can utilize energy that is coming from beta oxidation of fatty acids, that is from these ketone bodies. Now in normal conditions, the brain will take only glucose as its form of energy, and only when the person is in a starvation condition or in a fasting condition, the body switches over from glucose to the use of lipids, or the production of ketone bodies, so that energy can be made available to the body, different parts of the body. This is because you are in a fasting condition, glucose is not available. Now when this beta hydroxybutyrate and acetoacetate, they are utilized by the brain to give you energy in starving conditions. We also have to keep in mind that the levels of these ketone bodies should not increase. One of the parameters to check kidney function test, as well as diabetic condition, whether the patient who is suffering from diabetes, or is having hyperglycemia, is overstrained, or his or her diabetes is not in control, is to check the presence of ketone bodies in the urine. Okay, and the indication, if you get that ketone bodies are present in the urine, it is an indication that kidneys are not functioning properly. Okay, so these ketone bodies which are formed in the liver then are exported to the different organs, so that they can give you fuel, or they can give you energy. So we shall now see how these ketone bodies are formed. So you will see over here that two molecules of acetyl CoA, they condense, or they join with each other in the presence of enzyme, and they form what is called as acetoacetyl CoA. The enzyme involved is thiolase enzyme, and by condensation of the two molecules of acetyl CoA, we get acetoacetyl CoA. The next step involves that this acetoacetyl CoA will again combine with another molecule of acetyl CoA to give beta hydroxy beta methyl glutaryl CoA, that is HMG CoA. This is HMG CoA. So one molecule of acetone, second molecule of acetone, two acetyl CoA groups come together in the presence of thiolase enzyme to give acetoacetyl CoA, and then this acetoacetyl CoA again combines with another acetone molecule, and it forms the beta hydroxy beta methyl glutaryl CoA, or HMG CoA. This is happening in the presence of HMG CoA synthase enzyme. Okay, now further, this beta hydroxy beta methyl glutaryl CoA is then undergoing cleavage, or it is getting broken down in the presence of lyase enzyme. Okay, in the presence of lyase enzyme, or what is also called as HMG CoA lyase enzyme, and it is forming acetoacetate. This is the first, this one which you see I am pointing out to, this is the first ketone body that is going to get formed. Okay, now this is acetoacetate. Some part of this acetoacetate will remain. The remaining part of the acetoacetate will get cleaved, or it will get broken down, and it will form in the presence of decarboxylase enzyme and dehydrogenase enzyme to form acetone and beta hydroxy butyrate. Okay, so this way the three ketone bodies are now obtained. Acetoacetate is obtained, then that acetoacetate will stay. The excess of acetoacetate that is getting formed, because the cycle is going on continuously, this excess acetoacetate will get cleaved, or it will be broken down into two parts in the presence of the decarboxylase enzyme. It will give acetone, and in the presence of dehydrogenase enzyme, it will give beta hydroxy butyrate. And then all three of them, they can provide you energy, or they can give you energy by entering the skeletal muscles, by entering the heart muscles, by entering the brain, to compensate for whatever energy deficiency that has been created because you are in a starving condition. Similarly, if starvation or starving conditions are giving rise to ketone bodies, untreated diabetes and stimulation of the process of gluconeogenesis, all of that also leads to the excess production of ketone bodies. In a normal healthy individual, this ketone body production is very bare minimal. It is of very minute quantity that ketone bodies are produced, and they get easily excreted out. But in untreated diabetes or uncontrolled diabetes, where insulin levels are not sufficient, and glucose, even if it is present in the body, the cells are not able to take it up and get energy from it. In such conditions, the body shifts to the formation of ketone bodies, and using these ketone bodies for the generation of energy. Okay, now there are certain levels in which the ketone bodies should be present in the blood as well as in the urine. If they are present in increased levels, or if they are present in decreased levels, then in both the conditions they can be disturbing. They can disturb the blood pH, they can cause acidosis, and then this acidosis, it can lead to coma, and then it can eventually lead to death. Okay, so in the blood, the normal levels of ketone bodies is less than 3 milligrams per 100 ml. Okay, and we say that the levels have reached an abnormal condition when it crosses 90 milligrams per 100 ml. So just see the difference, less than 3 and 90 milligrams per 100 ml, which is causing acidosis, ketoacidosis it is called as, and it is increasing the blood pH. It is also called as ketonemia. Okay, the presence of ketone bodies in the blood is called as ketonemia. Now, when we are measuring the ketone body levels in the urine, we cannot just take one sample of the day and measure it. Technically, you should be taking the entire 24 hours of urine sample, and you should be measuring the levels of ketone bodies. Now, in 24 hours, the normal urine concentration of ketone bodies is less than 125 milligrams in 24 hours. Okay, now in abnormal conditions, when the person is suffering from ketonuria, that is presence of excess of ketone bodies in the urine, then it is 5,000 milligrams in 24 hours. So in 24 hours, if the levels have exceeded to more than to 5,000 milligrams or even more than that, in that case you can say that the patient is suffering from ketonuria. Okay, so there is ketonemia and there is ketonuria. Ketonemia is the presence of ketone bodies in the blood. Ketonuria is the presence of ketone bodies in the urine. So you should know the normal levels. What is the normal level of ketone bodies in blood? What is the abnormal level? What is the normal level of ketone bodies for 24 hours of urine sample? And what is the abnormal level of ketone bodies in the urine sample? Okay, so this is all about the production of ketone bodies and how these ketone bodies, they are supplying you with energy. Okay,